Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Trey back again here, bringing another video. This one's going to be doing a video prediction, another fight that's not announced yet. This was a request by a Brickman, one of my subscribers, so thank you for that, dude. This is a good idea. This is going to happen sooner or later. Win or lose, these two are going to match up. There's no question about it. Alistair Overeem against Cain Velasquez. It has to happen pretty much. Alistair, whether he wins the title or not against JDS, whether or not Cain V wins his next fight against probably Frank Mir, Shane Carwin, or somebody like that, maybe one of the Strikeforce guys, these two are going to match up. It's going to happen. Either it might be late 2012 or it might be early 2013. These two are going to fight one way or another. I see it going down. So, going to do a fight video prediction for it. Some people have trouble having trouble breaking this fight down. Seeing as how both guys beat Brock pretty handily. The difference being, of course, that Cain V was taken down, was able to get back up and, pound him out. Alistair Overeem had an easier time with Brock, but Brock's health was in question. He was off for a while, so, we don't know if it was really the same Brock coming out both times. Alistair Overeem is a beast right now, man. He really is. Even Cain Velasquez's chances of beating Alistair, when they eventually do throw down, is basically going to be to try and tire Alistair out. That's pretty much going to be it. Will he be able to take Alistair down? I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. He can try and try to tire him out, maybe push him against the cage. The thing is that Alistair, his fighting style for MMA, he's adapted his kickboxing so well, his stand-up so well to MMA. It's going to be hard for any wrestler to beat Alistair because, you just can't take the guy down. He's 263 right now, so he's right under the limit. He's an absolute monster. His body proportions are perfect for stopping guys' takedowns. For example, when it comes to stopping a takedown, are they going to push the head down, or are you going to grab the guy and try to kind of pull him back up? Maybe try for underhooks, shrug him off, push him off. All these types of things. Alistair Overeem's build is perfect for all of these movements. When it comes to grabbing and lifting up. You're going to be using your bicep mostly. Alistair's chest isn't that big. It's not as big as like Brock's was. But he's got a lot of strength in his arms. He's got a lot of power in his arms, a lot of power in his legs and his hips, and he uses it really well. His stance for MMA is a lower to the ground stance. He's almost half bending over forward, putting his weight on the front of his feet, okay, and leaving his face open. So guys like Brock Lesnar are able to land on him. Guys like Cain and will be able to land on him. But the trick is this. Alistair knows that. He knows these guys are going to be able to land on him because his face is more open than it probably should be in a traditional kickboxing stance. The thing is, he's not worried about these guys punching him. Alistair doesn't care if Brock Lesnar punches him in the head a couple times. He's willing to take that. He's trained his whole life in kickboxing. He's used to getting hit in the face. Now, nobody takes a punch to the face really that well if it's placed correctly. But, some guys have been more conditioned to it. We see guys like Anderson Silva get slammed by Chael Sonnen and just, act like it was nothing afterwards. They're just, you get conditioned to that kind of punishment, even though it's, definitely not easy to do. After kickboxing for 30 years, you start to be able to, take a punch better. You start to be able to, kind of lose that fear. So we saw Brock, land a punch on Alistair right in the forehead and cut him open pretty good with the side of the glove, I believe. At least that's what it looked like. But, he doesn't care about that. That's why he stands in that stance. And people are trying to say his stand-up isn't that good. No, you don't understand the strategy. You don't understand what Alistair's doing. That's the thing. I guarantee you his stance against Junior Dos Santos will be very different, okay? Because he's not really going to be worried about Junior taking him down in the same way Brock Lesnar is going to take him down. He left his face open and had that kind of leaning forward stance because he knew that Brock's only chance to beat him was to take him down. That's it. Cain V is much the same way. He's probably going to have a very similar stance. Now, out of the two, Brock Lesnar is a better wrestler than Cain. Brock got shrugged off right away and, felt the strength of Alistair and pretty much didn't even shoot in after that. He kind of knew right away, okay, this guy's a, brick house. I might not be able to take him down. He's prepared for it. He's leaning in a stance, and I guess you'd call it an anti-wrestling stance, prepared for that. He used much the same stance against Fabricio Werdum because he knew that Werdum, he may throw punches and things like that, but, Verdum's chance of winning that fight also is going to be to take Alistair down. So, again, leaving the face a little bit more exposed than it probably should be, than it normally is, sacrificing that in exchange for the proper stance to be able to stuff takedowns. That's pretty much the stance that Alistair uses. A lot of people, they look at it, they're kind of like, why is he standing like that? It's kind of weird. Is he getting ready for a knee, or what is he doing? He's keeping his weight to prepare for the shots. He's keeping his weight on the front of his feet, on his toes, okay, leaning forward, a little bit lower, ready to stuff takedowns. That's what he's doing. Now, that being said, Cain does have good striking, underrated striking. It is possible, okay, I think it's more likely, actually, that Alistair could get caught, okay, with a good shot by one of these heavyweights and possibly knocked out or TKO'd, rather than being taken down and pounded out. You see, he's prepared. He's prepared to fighting to get against the takedowns. He's ready to shrug these guys off, stuff their takedowns. His positioning is of that. His stance is of that. You can tell just by looking at it. That's the reason why he stands that way. So there is a possibility that a guy like Cain, who's got a very well-rounded game, could catch him with a really good shot and knock Alistair out. It is possible. I'm not going to say it's not. But it really is, as the old saying goes, a puncher's chance, in my opinion. Alistair is not easy to knock out at this point as this super heavyweight he's become. Yeah, people talk about Chuck Liddell knocking him out in Pride when he was young. Dude, Chuck Liddell was in the peak of his years. He was in his absolute best state during that tournament when he beat Alistair at 205. And Alistair was just a kid, man. He was very young. He was green. He didn't really have the wrestling. He had a little bit of wrestling, but, he did well against Chuck Liddell in his prime. Now, in my opinion, when you take a young kid like that and you put him against Chuck Liddell in his prime, that's really good. He does have a chin. People try to act like Alistair's got no chin and that Fabricio almost knocked him out. I really don't think Fabricio maybe dazed him once because, like I said, the stance again. That's just how that's going to be. So, plan on him getting in that stance again when he faces Cain. So Cain's best chance in this fight is to land pretty much a Hail Mary or to, maybe work the jab. Well, like Fabricio did, place it well, and could potentially knock out Alistair Overeem. It is possible because, like I said, he's looking for the shot. So the stance is different than it is in K1. If this was a K1 match, there's no way Cain would ever knock out Alistair. But because it's MMA and those variables are there is the possibility that could happen. Now, do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't see that happening. Alistair, what he does against guys is he basically comes up, he stands right in front of them. He stalks them down, right in front of them. And basically is just like, okay, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And then whatever they do, like Ben Edwards in the K1 match, Ben Edwards is throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Alistair. Alistair just tightens up, blocks, covers his face or stops the takedowns, and just stands right in front of these guys. Heavyweights, huge man. He just stands right in front of them. He's like, really? Is that all you got? Throw everything you got at me. Go ahead. And Alistair just stands right there. These guys go at it. Brock, Ben Edwards, Fabricio Verdum. They go in for the takedown. They get shrugged off. Again, Alistair comes right up, stands right there. And then after they've thrown a few shots, after they've thrown a little bit, and they're starting to get a little bit tired, that's right when Alistair starts to put it to him. He throws those uber knees. He starts throwing the left hook, right hook. Just these absolute power shots, man, with MMA gloves. Oh, man, remember what he did to Todd Duffy? I mean, most of this guy's fights end in the first round, except for Fabricio Verdum. In the last couple of years, he's beaten everybody in the first round. He made Brett Rogers look like an amateur. He made Todd Duffy look like he shouldn't even be in MMA. He made Brock look like he was, not a champion for years. And against JDS, I can't help but think he's probably going to do the same unless he gets beaten by JDS's speed. And against Cain, I mean, what else does Cain really have to offer here? It just comes down to it. Alistair's a bigger guy. He's 265 now, pretty much. Cain's about 250. So you're going to have a big size disadvantage there for Cain. He's probably not going to be able to take him down, so he's going to have to stand with him. Really, Cain's chances are this. Wear him out, okay, by trying to just grapple and stay alive, survive the first round, use your cardio, and beat Alistair with the cardio by surviving. Or two, look to counter his strategy with some good, solid training, lots of training in countering that kind of stance. If he does that, he can win. I'm sure the guys at AKA, they're very smart. They put together great game plans. you know, all these things that I've talked about through this video about Alistair's stance, they're going to see that. They're going to study that. They probably already know that at this point because Daniel Cormier and Cain eventually are going to face Alistair. So, you know, they probably already know this, you know, as it stands right now. And, you know, come time to prepare for this matchup, they're going to be drilling these guys on, you know, throwing the hands in the face really well. The thing with Alistair that the guys tend to do a lot, and that, you know, really can't do. Fabricio showed pretty good at this. Is that if you're throwing jabs and you're throwing straights, okay, right straight, left straight, whatever, you know, and you're not throwing too many power punches, you know, winding up. You don't want to get into a slugfest with Alistair Overeem. Okay, that is not a good idea. You know, the best way to beat him is just like Fabricio showed. You know, quick hands, fast jabs. The best defense is a good offense. You know, he's not going to be able to put those uber knees at you and to smash you if you've got a good solid you know, box, if you've got a good solid distance from him, okay, and you're throwing your hands quickly. That's the thing. So that's the key. So these are the things that Cain can do to win this fight. Do I see it happening? No, because I think that the odds, even if he, let's say he was, aka somebody from AK was to watch this or watch this video as I've discussed the strategy to beat Alistair, or they know exactly this, you know, they know all the things I've talked about in this video. You know, they could implement a counter strategy to that, like I said, by, you know, drilling that, basically drilling, you know, quick hands. Okay, best you know, defense is good offense against him. Got to throw a lot of jabs. Got to throw a lot of straights. Not too many looping punches, because if you get into a slugfest, you're getting knocked out. Cain can win this fight. The odds are just so far against him, or like I said before, wearing him out. So there's two ways. One, that strategy, using your hands against him, you know, and drilling a lot. And two, wearing Alistair out with Cain's cardio. Do I see either of which happening? I think it's tough for Cain. This is a bad fight for Cain, I think. I'd have to pick Alistair in this fight, and the odds, I would say, are 70-30 for Alistair in his favor. You know, when you take a fight like this, and you take these two guys, and you look at their stances, you look at their strategies, you know, the only way Cain can really win is if he outsmarts Alistair, and he does what I said before. Instead of trying to go for the takedown, you know, really work on his hands for like 3 months in a training camp, just for the sole purpose of doing it that way. And then the thing is if he starts to be able to land shots, then he can take Alistair down, but not right away. That's the thing. You can't shoot in on Alistair right away. You have to throw those jabs. You have to make him respect your hands first, and then he's got to shoot in. Now, let's turn the tables real quick. As I've said, you know, Alistair, I'm giving 70-30 chances in this fight. What does he have to do to beat Cain? Well, the same thing he's done to the last, you know, same thing he's been doing for the last 2 or 3 years. You know, use his size, stalk the guy down, use his timing. He's got really great timing. He holds. You know, you don't see guys do that in MMA. You know, hardly ever in sports. He's got that knack that Fedor used to have. He holds it, and then at the right time, he snaps it. So he doesn't, you know, you think he's going to throw, he shakes his hands, and you can see it. He shakes it, he throws feints, and he makes guys think that he's going to go at him. He's going to throw his hands or his knees or whatever, and then he stays, and he stays, and he stays, and he does that, and he gets them into, he lulls them into a false sense of security, as if he's not going to throw at them. That's that stalking motion of walking right up to you and faking like he's going to throw, faking. And then these guys, you know, they back up, and, you know, before you know it, after like maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds, he's still standing there. These guys are getting like, you know, they're throwing, but nothing's landing. Alistair's blocking everything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you know, he grabs them, throws the knees at them. He throws a left hook and then a right hook, like he did against Todd Duffy, you know, or for Fabricio, you know, even though Fabricio did better than all the other guys, he's throwing them down, you know what I mean? He's doing this kind of stuff. So he's got amazing timing and strategy in the way he fights that you don't see from anybody else except for Fedor. Fedor did the same thing. Fedor's timing was really good. He would, you know, he wouldn't let the opponents know when it's coming. Okay, he would hold off for a second, 2 seconds, screw him up, you know, strategize that way, and then boom, the explosion, fast twitch muscle fibers, bam, right through. That's what Fedor always did. You know, he was, even in training, you watch some of Fedor's training videos, you know, he'd say to his training partners, when's it coming, when's it coming, when's it coming? And then, you know, he kind of stalled for a second, and then boom, he would explode, and he would, you know, go into whatever movement he's doing. Could it be an armbar on Kevin Randleman? It could be Mark Coleman with his armbar from the bottom that he threw. I think he do that twice, or was that once? I forget. Maybe twice on Coleman. It could. I mean, all these different fights that Fedor won, you could really see that timing and then explosion. Alistair's got that too, just in a different way. Instead of doing it with submissions, even though he can do submissions, he stalls and then he explodes with his strikes. Very exciting stuff to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this thorough breakdown. This is longer than I normally do, talking a little bit more about stances and strategy. But this is how I see the fight playing down. Like I said, the odds are huge in this. I give Alistair Overeem 70% chance to win. Cain's only chances to do, you know, like those two things I mentioned earlier. Do I think he can do them? I don't think he can. I think it's going to look similar to JDS's beating of Cain. That's all I got to say, guys. Let me know what you think about this breakdown. If you disagree, please let me know. But do it intelligently. You know, I hate trolls. You know, coming in my. I shouldn't say hate them. I hate it when people come in my channel and they blurt nonsense. I get people all the time. There was this guy a couple weeks ago who was trying to say that, you know, like wrestlers will always beat strikers and yada yada yada. And I was like, given the current state of MMA, are you serious? Like, how old are you? 5 years old? You know what I mean? Like, I can't understand. Wrestlers will always beat strikers. What are you talking about? You've got JDS as the champion, who's a striker. You've got Anderson Silva, who's a champion, as a striker. JDS just beat Cain. You know, Cain beat Brock with his striking. You know, he's trying to say wrestlers always win. Anderson Silva's been on top for as long as I can remember. Just beat Chael Sonnen and Dan Henderson before that. You know, like, what are you talking about? Wrestlers always win. I'm pretty sure Jose Aldo just beat Chad Mendez, who's primarily a wrestler. I mean, just, you know, my point is that I get some comments in my channel, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? So if you're going to disagree with me, please make it intelligent. And I don't have a problem with it. I'm not going to say anything and be like, whatever. You know, it's an intelligent argument. I don't have a problem with it. But no, man, I get people all the time saying absolute nonsense. And I'm like, what are you, 5? Seriously, 5? Later, guys. Peace.